is Model Jeffrey Abidoye. Model, you're welcome to the program. Model?
It's nice having you. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Yeah. We are talking about the spate of defection in Nigeria, the rate at which politicians move from one political party to the other. In your own view, Model, what are some of the factors behind defections in Nigeria political space?
Well, I'll call it co-switching or cross-carpeting. It's a common phenomenon, in politics, in democracy, and democratic leadership all over the world. It's not only common to Nigeria. With reference to some of the strongest democracies like the United States, where we borrow it from, like what is obtainable in the United Kingdom, our colonial master. Switching from one party to the other or cross-carpeting, as is often said, could be as a result of conflict of interest, could be as a result of foreseeable change in the upcoming election, could be as a result of political ideology, could be as a result of personal interest that probably is likely to be the raw, could be as a result of disagreement within the rank and file, particularly at the top hierarchy of the party. And so there are so many factors that necessitate this from time to time. It's not only common to Nigeria. It's just that our own is just a natural democracy, let me put it that way. The special reference to what is obtainable in strong economy, like I mentioned earlier on, democracy is dynamic, it's involved, it grows, it develops from one stage to another. And so as it evolves, as it's developing, soldier go, soldier come, barrack remain. You have this person coming in for a treatment. After a while, owing to one thing or the other, maybe he goes out or she goes out and that person something. It's often said that different stroke for different folks, and all that. So for me, it is not something that's uncommon. If we check it out from 2003, people cross carpet, and 2007, people moved from one party to the other, and then 2011, we experienced 2015, we experienced 2023, special reference, when we have a landmark, shift and a remarkable change, when there was a strong coalition, because it is on record that PDP ruled this country for 16 years, from 1999 to 2015, before there was a change, 16 years. And then that change, changed so many dynamics, changed so many things, that rock the foundation of our democracy and all that. So, and between that time and now, between 8 years, there was a little bit of stability, and all that. So on the basis of that, 2027 is around the corner. And you could see that, unfortunately, PDP was vibrant for 16 straight years, dominating the system, having about 28 governors at the point and all that. But as we speak right now, you could see that the PDP that has had 16 straight years, and after 8 years that's supposed to be vibrant as opposition, you could see what, the crisis of friction, crisis of conflict of interest, and so many other variables that is rotting that have made it, the party now somehow lying flat on its face and so many other things. And of course, an average politician is always thinking of the next election, always thinking of political survival, is always thinking of his future. And that's why I often tell people who get to this that look, beyond the rhetoric of politics is dirty and all this and all that. Politics is not dirty. It is the finest human activity. It's a career, it's an art, it's a profession, it's a ministry, and it's a calling. All right, so the principles, the ideologies that guide this are always there. But of course, survival, most times determine the pace and then frequency of cross-carpeting and then code switching as the need, arises from time to time. So getting close to 2027 now, people are already looking at what is going on, and then those who could see that maybe the contesting maybe on their the party that produced them and all that might not be feasible. Okay, so it's a compelling need for them to run for safety, to run for shelter, to run for survival. Cannot do by side, so it's a common thing. It's not only here. In UK, we have seen people moving from one party, the Labour Party, to the other and all that. Even in Asian countries, we've seen it in Korea, South Korea, for instance. In Japan, we have seen it and all that. At that angle in Asia, it is only Chinese because of one dominant party, communist party, and all that. So even within that side, there are still conflicts of interest as a result of, one thing or the other and all that. So it depends on how we perceive it. More often than not, we are quick to judge, to say people running up and down and all that. It's not only in politics that you see people running. Even in church, people leave one church now to go and establish their own church when there's conflict of interest. In ministry department agencies, when maybe somebody misbehaves or the leadership is not favorable to you, people leave from one ministry agency or whatever and all that kind of something. That is switching as well. Okay, if you talk about the military too, you have when somebody is there that is not favorable to other people or this and that, people go under one way or the other. Then they come up again and all that. So the world itself, the constant in life itself is change. So there is no sector of human life we don't experience such change as the need arises from time to time and all that. Even in the academia, you have a situation where the vice chancellor is not favorable to, his style of leadership, does not favor some set of professors or something of that nature. You discover that was the time that some of these professors will say they are going on sabbatical leave. They too, that is cross carpeting. They are switching too, but in their own palace, it is not called cross carpeting. So it's a normal thing in any human endeavor that we see and all that, but we just narrow it down to politics and all that because it is a dominant activity across the country and all that. Of course, they provide governance, they provide leadership and all that. So this is just the way. For me, it's a normal thing. Iron sharpens iron and all that. But looking at it realistically in the last 24, 25 years, those who started this journey then, because very many of good Nigerians didn't believe that General Absalom will hand over at that time. There was no trust, there was skepticism, there was a lot of doubt. So the first generation that jumped in, into the ring at that time, many of them who have enjoyed the luxury, who have enjoyed the paraphernalia of offices and so many other things, who they don't want to leave. And that's why you see them because this and that and all that. But
Okay.
I know that as a move on a lot.
All right. So, model, how does defection affect party stability and democracy consolidation in Nigeria?
Come again, I didn't hear that.
I said, how does this defection affect party stability and democracy consolidation in Nigeria?
Well, sometimes it comes with what I would call a potpourri, a mixture of the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get what I'm saying? Like I said earlier on, PDP was in power for 15 straight years. In fact, Obasanjo said then that it's a do or die thing. In fact, at a point, I think it was the chairman, I think it's late now, from Kogi State, who said that PDP will rule for 60 years. But unfortunately, rather than get to 60 years, they fell flat. They lost, power in 2015 after 15 straight years or what have you and all that. So when a party that knows its onions and the leadership are in power, when people distrust, for instance, the current APC was a formation of the ACN then, CPC, part of AGA, part of AMCP, and the rest of them that gathered together to rescue power from the PDP and to deploy all that is required in terms of, strategy, in terms of operational methodologies and data. They deploy everything, the media, both local and international. And then they got the power somehow and all that. So it tells you somehow, it depends on how you are looking at it. It has its pros and it has its cons. You get what I'm saying? So, and we saw it then. When that happened in 2015, they actually got the power, and today they are consolidated. You can see as we speak right now, very many of our sitting governors in other parties, like PDP and others, are on their way, because 2027 is around the corner. And then nobody wants to stay in a sinking ship or a sinking boat. the most vibrant opposition are supposed to be vibrant, and I mean, the most expected vibrancy we expect to be from PDP. All right? For the first time in 2023, Nigerians have been yearning for a top four. We had that top four within 3 to 4 months of that election in the realm of the Labour Party. But unfortunately, we could see that as a result of immaturity, as a result of absence of vision and purpose, that's beyond, the momentum and all that. Despite the very pleasurable, very commendable effort of the Labour Party, after that, what happened? Since after that election, it's been one crisis or the other. Crisis of leadership, crisis of passion. You have those who call the Obi movement within the party, who joined the party, who wrote on the crest of the party. After the election, they said they don't belong to the reality. You can't cut your nose without fighting your face. And up to now, as we speak right now, Labour Party has gone into spread as we speak right now. Unfortunately, too, the PDP that are supposed to, be standing to correct a lot of things, to stabilize and to provide objective, constructive engagement to ensure that the government of the day do better. Today, they are thinking with so many variables, diverse, varying degrees of crisis of this and that, and so many other things and not. And so the center is no longer holding. I don't see how PDP can survive because right now it's gasping for breath. In fact, the PDP as a party right now in what they usually call there's a state of emergency for that party now and all that kind of something. So for me, I know that getting closer to 2027, when the doors are settled, there is going to be a stability towards that election. But one of the things that I think from the civil society perspective we should be doing, which we are going to do to start doing very soon, is the idea of having 50, 60, 70 parties is immense. You don't need it. Under that kind of situation, somebody who does party that does not even have any structure anywhere will say, I have a presidential candidate, and then they begin to just go around and so many other things. So in the nearest future, one of the things that we want to work towards is to ensure that we have maximum, maybe 3, 4, 5 maximum political parties in this country, so that people can get more serious. Rather than having comedians and those guest stars, let me put it that way. Having this party who does not even have any office, in many of the states and so many of that things, just be in Abuja and say I'm a political party. No. That was one thing that under Buhari was a big mess up. Registering about 91, 93 political parties. For what? What do we need that for? Let's have, maybe it's going to be, maybe in the very near future, where I'm beginning, we should go back to what IDP designed for us then, when we have 2 strong political parties, the NRC and the SDP. When we have the best of vibrancy of stability. That's what we should be looking at. Like you have right now, maybe in America, the Republican and the Democrat. Maybe if you desire, you could go as an independent candidate on your own. And once you don't get anywhere, you go back and all that. But 2 major, strong, three-man political parties will help our democracy to be stable, and then we can begin to achieve the expected growth and development.
Mother, let me cut in at this point. You once talked about it is a normal thing in democracy for people to move from one political party to the other. But now the question of integrity comes in at this point. Somebody that has spoken something, castigating an ideology of another party, but some have gone to the extent of swearing if they will ever join a particular political party. Then you see them overnight turning to go there. What does it tell about the integrity of the kind of leadership we want to have?
Well, the one unique thing about democracy is that the power determining what happens majorly is in the hands of the electorate. It is in the hands of the party faithful and then party members, with their membership cards, paying their dues, very vibrant. But unfortunately, we are yet to get there. Every strong economy anywhere in the world, every strong democracy anywhere in the world is never an event. It's a process. All right? And that is one critical area that people like our organization, the Green Nigeria 360 Degrees, we want to begin to engage with INEC. After that, the only thing I think INEC do a lot is preparing for election and all that. The time between one election and the other, INEC do little or nothing in terms of voter certification, in terms of sensitization, in terms of critical engagement, in public square, community engagement of voters, of citizens, to know what democracy is all about. They should be working hand in hand with, development partners, and all that across the country to ensure that people are better informed. Because once you are not informed, you are bound to be deformed. And that's what all leaders, strategic leaders, the elected offices, either Senate, either, House of Rep, either governors, House of Assembly, House of Rep, and the rest of them, capitalizing on. The level of ignorance of the people is what they're catching on. Because they are supposed to be, midwives, they are supposed to be coordinated. The activities where they go, how they behave, is supposed to be measured by the electorate. But unfortunately, the electorate don't even know what they should do. What is their duty of care? What is their obligation? What is their responsibility to people they gave mandate to? And that's why they all come back at the end of the 4 year to line up for the voting, and the rest of them and so many other things. Somebody that they voted for, after 2 years, they don't even see properly and know what have you. On the 3rd year, now that we are entering the 3rd year, you begin to see them now, identify with the people again, and then work on their psyche, get them again to endorse them to give them another 4 years or something. So power belongs to the people. Okay? So that is one critical area that I think for us to move away from where we are. Right? Because the greatest threat that an average politician, an average political leader, don't want to live here is when there's a threat, to their continued existence at that level. And so power belongs to the people. Once they know that, look, you don't do well, this you must cross carpet. Do you go back to your constituency to ask? Do you do what I will call consensus consultations and all that? Do you have the endorsement? A lot of them will just change and they just quit in Abuja. As a result of one thing, they don't need to come home and then they come and speak out and then they share rights and people start jumping up and down and so many other things and all that. So it is a holistic thing. The media too are doing their best, but we need to do more. We can do better. To further educate, to sensitize the people so that the people can know that, look, you can't just stay in Abuja and say because of one reason or the other, you are crossing. You must come out, come and sit down with the people, go around. If you are House of Rep member, you are representing 2 local governments. Go around, fill their thoughts, ask them, these are what is going on. And this is what we are looking at. And so you must get them endorsing you to embark on that. Not just you laterally taking that decision and then coming back for them to run back for you after giving them money or whatever, this and that and all that. So voters education, sensitization, and then public enlightenment and advocacy will go a long way in educating the people to be able to now determine the faith wherever represented at any level. This is what is critical, and that we are getting to that crucial stage. Without prejudice too. 24 years is long, but it's not long too. Might not be where we think we ought to be, but we actually don't know where we used to be. And we are daily of the increase in Nigeria, but we ought to have been doing better than we are doing. But the strategic agency or commission that is, saddled with the responsibility of voters' education is not doing enough. If I place them on the scale right now, in terms of post-election, voters' education, sensitization, and advocacy. If I place, INEC with due respect, this is my personal assessment, and I have reasons, and I can, debate with anybody on that. INEC does not score up to 50%. Okay. They are scoring maybe about 35 or 40%. But that is concerned. That is far from where we should be. This is just the way.
Right.
That's why when
Model, you mentioned the media.
So they have 52,000, 200,000 of voters, cards. People collect, they register. At the end of the day, where they say they have 500,000, don't they do all the election and all that? You discover that more than half did not vote. So what are we talking about? And you collected money for all this exercise. You deploy soldiers, you deploy police and the rest of them. And at the end of the day, what you get in terms of actuality, the reality, is far from what you have expected. But because we are yet to get there, where we say, okay, post-election, I then come and give account. Let us audit your account. How much did you say you needed for this election in terms of productivity, performance, and then the outcome of that election? Is the election credible enough? These are indices that we should be using we are going to use in the very near future to measure their performance. So if after 2 years or after one election you don't do well, I think the people to have a collaboration with the non-governmental organization to be able to say, no, we are passing a vote of no confidence on you because you are not delivering your deliverable. After all, the money you are using are the commonwealth of the people.
Okay, let's talk about the law now.
You cannot justify what is projected for you, then you are not.
Model, let's talk about the law now.
So,
how effective are the laws of Nigeria in regulating and discouraging this defection?
You said the law of Nigeria?
Yes, how effective are the laws of Nigeria in discouraging and regulating defections from one party to the other?
Well, it's a pity because, like I said, the bedrock of any political party is ideology. It is principle. All right? The electoral laws are there. The constitutions are there. But deliberately, some of these actors violate this law and start running to the court. For instance, you have your own constitution as a political party. All right? One of the recent cases is the case of the National Secretary of PDP. All right? What does the law say? The law says you want to go and contest. You want to contest for governor in his own state. The law says you must resign. Okay? The guy went, whether he resigned, he didn't resign, or he didn't resign, only he just left to go and contest. When he didn't secure the ticket, he came back again. And that's why a lot of issue in PDP right now that has even taken them to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court referred them back, take it back to your house, go and settle it in-house. The laws are clear. Even with the level of the constitutional assault level, either at electoral law as funded by INEC or the constitution of the political party, these are the federal constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the rest of them and all that kind of something. Okay? If those laws, the constitution made by them, I mean the political parties, leaders now and members, are strictly adhered to, then we will have less friction. You violate your law within, and then you are only to court to come and begin to interpret it for you, and so many other things. So a lot of them are law breakers, and they do it deliberately to create more confusion. However, I think the judiciary, the National Assembly, should be up and going. They should do more. Law is dynamic. Like I said earlier on, the only constant in life is set to stay. So in every 4 years after which election that we have done, INEC, like I said earlier on, supposed to convey a national discourse and debate, to review, to appraise, to evaluate, to audit, constructively, discussionably, carrying out political operation post-election. And then all critical stakeholders who participated in that election, particularly those who, for elected offices, all levels, they should all sit together. Whoever is found wanting should be brought to proof. That should be what we call consequences management. But what do we see? You don't see that. And so that's why it seems that we are not moving at the pace we ought to move in terms of growth, in terms of development, and in terms of what is expected, common to a growing and a developing democracy and all that. So the law that we still have in place now at the party level, the law we still have in place right now at the INEC level, and then the constitution is sufficient enough to ensure that we have dignity, decency, decorum, and discipline. If men were actually men, if those who parade to be leaders were actually leaders of integrity, of impeccable character, and so many other things and all that, because integrity is who you are when nobody is watching you. But unfortunately, how many of them have integrity?
Well, thank you very much, Model, for...
There are a lot of question marks.
Thank you very much, Model, for taking our time with us this morning. We quite appreciate all your insightful analysis this morning. But before we leave, what will be your parting word on this program this morning?
Thank you so much. The pleasure will always be mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Well, the program continues right now in the studio with our sports segment. Don't go away.
Be finally underway at this